Good evening from the dilemma that seems to be my existence. The nihilism of realization of trying to figure how to crawl out of this cataclysmic cocoon bubble, if you will, that I've been forced upon. And I come up with all these solutions. I have nothing else to do, you know what I mean? I don't have many options here, for the most part. We all understand in this world what constrains us, and I just happen to be mightily constrained by the factors that be that seem to want to carve them cougar scars like fish. This is one of my favorites. Part of my reverence, beautician, because of all of the high and mighty that have devoted their time to the following. So, the whole vampire thing. They wanted to carve me some vampire scars there, but it also appeals to the beauticians of the Caldwell College Cooper Cougar or BYU Cougar. I don't know. Like I said, I come up with all of these spiraling connectivity, these synapses, these electronic sparkles of light. Astronomy, as you might call it. You know, the flickering AS, Tron, oh my. And then try to put together patterns using my basis of knowledge because I have a vested interest staked in the code because it happened to be based upon events I seem to be a celestial body that certain factions rotate against, even though those factions seem to be they're scooping them up and rebranding and redistributing and repackaging and utilizing that energy while I'm not able to utilize the benefits of cost. So tonight I'm going to discuss magic. Magic seems to be a prevalent thing here today, especially how magic is derived and the channels and different variations. Since I pay from one side to be reverent to pay for that. I pay for the other side because they need, stuck there in the middle of 50 Shades of Nothing. The spectrum, as you will, getting screwed from every angle. But the magic, it seems to be derived. Nuclear power. Well, the precedences, there's several key precedences. Electricity. Anybody can plug in electricity. Electricity is equal, Plug anything in, it runs. You got $1 million piece of medical equipment, plug it into a wall, same electricity powers that as a $5 clock radio. Still same electricity. Same thing with gas. There's different grades of gas, and there's jet fuel and things like that. But for the most part, it is quite similar. So what seems to happen, though, is they have the electricity is used pertaining to the individual based upon their rank within the schematics. I happen to have started at a very high rank, the alpha up there, but I was hacked way down to where I'm almost one of the lowest of the low. Barry, that's deep water drilling. They wanted to keep pushing down and down and down and down. Maybe they're drilling so deep. It's easier to keep it sustained there. Just pile it on, pile on the gravy. Pile that gravy on that lasagna, as you might want to think about it. But these stacked ranks, and the power there within. So it seems to be derived. The key seems to be nuclear power is a big part about it. Happens to coincide with Arlington, Texas. Seems to be a holy place. You gotta understand the civic bounds have a distinct part of what's going on. So Arlington, where it's contained the Nuclear Regulatory Commission numero cuatro, number 4. Like Led Zeppelin 4, IB. That covers most of the west of the Mississippi River. Covers Louisiana, Arkansas, part of Mississippi. Louisiana is very important there, namely because of the mouth of the Mississippi. So when you use energy as the precedent, that's the key. Energy precedence. You just kind of throw it all in the gumbo pot. You know, just melt it all down and then juice it. You know, soup it up. So it's a real high-powered electricity, especially in that Arlington area. Then you get into the things that are in the GTA. That's a whole nother thing. GTA. Well, that's also part near, with that minus the C of the genetic code. GTAC, TAGC, Gattaca, that sort of thing. Well, Arlington seems to have in a GTA the Golden Ticket Awards, which is amusement park rides, which are thrill rides, which is a big part of it. Also has Cowboys and the Rangers, a new cow with that mighty big old TV station there in Jerry Jones Land, Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, and Ranger Park. See, the problem is Texas is a distinct flag. I seem to be the Lone Star. Donated. I am donated by my pimps to be the Lone Star, and it has a red sector, a white sector, and a blue sector with a star. The problem is it seems to all be cohesive these days. Dallas is supposed to be like the Rangers, the cops, you know, and then they're supposed to be the Wilds, they're supposed to be the cops, and they're supposed to be the West. But seems to be that it's been infected, not necessarily cohesive to the Rangers ain't doing their duty. You know, Walker, Texas Ranger, I guess he's more involved with the Ricky Bobby situation than he is with anything else. So, you got the Ranger Hellmets, the Bat, Louisville Slugger, mind you, MLB, BLM, Bureau of Land Management, or IBM. Well, see, IBM is another one of those, and this is all speculative, or it might just be artistic fodder, artistic medium, streets of light, you know. I'm not rightly sure. I'd like to investigate, but I am not allowed the competent staff to put these pieces together and manufacture some tangible proof, which I've been trying to do for years and years. To manufacture tangible proof is my motive, but I ain't allowed. So, you got all these speculative lights here, putting pieces together. So, IBM, Rochester, Minnesota, Rochester, New York. Both Rochesters, both IBM. IBM is actually headquartered in Armonk, which is a suburb of New York City, where there's something called the Louis Calder Park connected to Fordham. So the symbiotic relationships of Rochester and Rochester in varying places, the twin, see, like the World Trade Center, the twin cities. The symbiotic correlation. That's the holy grail right there, theoretically speaking. That makes things with a similar name. But see, IBM is that's where I go. IBM is a just entity. They do some good work there at IBM, you know. So, the problem is all these ancillary and subsidiaries that I have a problem with, because they're screwing me too. I'm getting screwed by the lower. See, the top dogs done lock me out, so the lower dogs can screw me left and right. And I'd just like to open the books, like the mob used to say, and let's balance the account, see what's going on there. Because I understand the need for certain levels of symbiotic correlation. The problem is it's been overrun. That's where you get into the St. John the Baptist Parish with Marathon Oil, and then you got Marathon Music in Los Angeles. You got that has amplifiers, mics, speakers, you know, the whole the carry cases to protect the equipment on the road, which I'm sure I provide some of the assistance to the bouncer. You know, celebrity security. That's a whole other sector. I'm sure they got motherfucking guns to our heads. If anything happens to them celebrities on the road, that's that traveler's insurance with their my price petro idols. Rather than from the bank. We're not only with the bank, we got to be the security. They get theirs money's worth. So you got the Marathon Music in Nashville. They're on, I think it's Clinton Way, you know, in Nashville, and they have all sorts of things there. It goes into the hard rock and Jackson, you know, there's all sorts of these symbiotic correlations. They're not necessarily doing the ranger duty, though, if you know what I mean. That's where you get into the Walker Tech Ricky Bobby scenario of not really the race, you know, it's the math, you know, let's see how fast we can go by screwing the math up. So the GTA, they're the Golden Ticket Awards. Also the Golden Tap Awards is a beer award from Toronto. So hey, theoretically, are the beer people also have helmets? You know, or is this giving them the magic helmets like the Star Wars force fields? Is that the nuclear helmet protection for the Cowboys? Because they got a star on them, you know, and a star is a symbol. Like Da Vinci Code, we learned all about symbology. Stars everywhere, you know. Stars are an important factor, you know. And so the question is, what's that protecting there? That star and a helmet by Rydell and Bell, Eastern, Rydell, and Giro helmets. Berg, the Bergs, you know. So what is providing that entity there with power? Fenway Partners did own them. I don't know if they do. I think they are still a part owner in that. But it all has to do with trying to figure out what's giving them their power and what's the compensation. You know, am I paying anything to this? Am I? Is my family estate providing anything to this? And if so, I want to check. You know, I want to roll. Oh, we all know about royalty free. Like there was this principality formed in Fredonia, Texas, as sort of a Prince John was his name, and I know it's kind of a joke, but they printed their own currency. They actually got royalty-free status, but there's royalty-free, a lot of different loopholes within royalty-free. There's all sorts of, and the problem is nobody's looking at it. Nobody's investigating. That's what I'm saying. Let's figure something out what's actually going on here. So you got the Golden Ticket Awards and we all know about my cemented butt plug and blowing up huge. You know, the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory growing within inside me. James and the Giant Peach. So you've got Mike TV, the big old Jerry Jones massive TV there, which I am stuck watching everything on TV. Or at least I can interact. For years and years and years, I was just laying there. Why am I alive? I mean, literally. Oh, I don't know how I'm still alive. Literally. I mean, it was just the most miserable years and years and years of nothing. Had no money, had no friends, had nothing. The prime of my Prince Charming life alone, just sitting there. Why? Most of the time, I didn't even have cable. Most of the time, I had like 3 or 4 local channels with rabbit ears. You know, I was that Rabbi Rabbit getting skinned alive for Neiman Marcus first, for Playboy having a good old time on my dime, I suspect. But, you know, they got their own thing going there. So, the Willy Wonka, you got Mike TV, the Bubble Boy, his name was TV, like, Dita Von Teese has been interesting. I think she's very alluring, yet VT and the Dita spells out death in the afternoon, like Hemingway, the bullfighters. And definitely I could feel them swords and spears been going through me all this time. And I've been scalded like tea. You know, I mean, this is sort of just who knows what. I'm not rightly sure what I have here. It's either interesting material fodder or I'm not rightly sure because I don't have a competent staff. I could do this with a competent staff, but I don't have one. I'm not allowed one. I got to be handicapped. They want it to be difficult, you know. Veruca Salt, BS, Courvoisier, Hennessy, Cognac, BS, very special, or Angelina Jolie and Salt, who happens to tie in several ways to Jolie, my sister Jo, and we've got the Midnight Cowboy, 1969, Best Picture. Could have been Sundance Kid, 1969 also, like Robert Redford, Sundance Kid, 1969. That was the numero uno mas dollars with Sundance Kid. There were several others in there. But John Voight, Angelina Jolie's father, JV. There we go, the whole JV thing. There we go with the Jean Vianney, Jacob Bolero, the ritual sacrifice money exchanger, which I think is tying me into validating cash, and the junior varsity high school golf, which I seem to be lodged stuck in that loophole. Loopholes. Then we're going to get into Augustus Gloop. And I know this is all kind of phantasmagoria. AG. The AG is very important. AG is silver. 47. Numero 47, silver. That's the gamma of the 4 corners of New Mexico. 47 is a very number. We just talked about that earlier with the Fort Smith 47-9. 47 and all sorts of capacities. 1940 or 1847 Old State Capitol of Louisiana, 1847 Jesuit High on Bank Street with Loyola. Lots of 47s there. My father, 47. Hey, big loophole there. Ties it all together, you know. It's like a big, it's like this big tornado of energy. And then the ranks are formed. But those that give the most, which could be the Louis Marx estate, get routed toward the bottom. You know, you want the most important down deep so you can deep water drill them, theoretically. Loopholes. Perpetual loopholes. That's what it seems to be I'm stuck in. A perpetual loophole of malaise nothingness. Plus the centrifugal force, the alpha and the omega centrifugal force, the separator, you know, separator, or the CERN super. I mean, I've heard they try to justify, the mob tries to justify it with science. Well, it's the CERN super collider. You know, that's why I got, you know, to justify my captivity. Trying to tie it into science to make it seem like the scams are legit. Too legit to quit, Hamilton. So you got the GTA. That was just, you know, Charlie Buckets, not to mention. So we've got the Veruca salt, the Violet Beauregard. We all know about Violet. Iodine, gaseous form. Iodine ties into 53, which is John Malkovich was born 12/9/53, the same day as me. Being John Malkovich, Jacob Dylan. Oh, and also the Fred Sanford, Red Fox, St. Louis. And he was at his last show. He actually died of a massive heart attack. Episode 13, called Royal Family, where he played a postman in Atlanta, Georgia. And we all know about Sanford Stadium. Of course, I paid for that mightily with my beautician there. The comedy sketchings of Red Fox, who was a very funny man. Sanford's son, Big Dummy Lamont. You know, the salvage yard. Now, I do feel like I live in the salvage yard. My yard is a salvage yard. The house is salvage, you know. And we probably get no telling what that magic was. Or cedar, the salmon on the cedar. You know, that's what it looks like to me. Salmon. Yeah, that sort of thing. And there's the Sanford pins from one of the previous episodes, the whole ascension of Oak Sanford Pins, Newell Rubber of Oak Brook, Illinois, tied into that Ace Hardware Synagogue in Ascension Parish, Donaldsonville. And Ascension of our Lord. Our means bear in French. We all know that. So, it all ties in there. The GTA, Trans Am, Smokey and the Bandit, Knight Rider, one of my favorite old shows, Kit, with a GTA tranny am, like Brittany Cox, the tranny from New Orleans. Castrated, that's that detachable penis king missile there. Brittany Cox, tranny am. That's funny. Not really. There's a lot of truth to that. So you got the Trans Am Bandito, Smokey and the Bandit bootleggers, you know. Buford T. Justice there chasing down Smokey and the Bandit, but they gave me a bite. I can't, you know, it's gotten to be so, the bootlegging has gotten so out of hand because of this hacks and things like that. Then I actually took GTA, Renault Alliance was what I actually took driver's ed on. And they make a GTA. It was made in Kenosha, Wisconsin, where Nash Motors used to be. Then they got that Marvin Nash from Reservoir Dogs. He's the cop that they burned alive and cut the ear off. I feel more like the cop that got shot and was bleeding to death on the floor, Timothy Roth. You know, the whole show, he's just sitting there bleeding in a pool. That's kind of my life been over the last 20 years, just bleed. Got shot, I got stabbed and speared, and who all know all sorts of things. Then there's GTA Global Technology Associates, which is a unified threat management. They basically handle all these types of firewalls, anti-spam, anti-piracy, anti-virus. In Orlando, one of the Magic Kingdoms. So we're back to that magic again. Orlando Magic. Back to the Walt Disney Magic Kingdom there. Who just bought that Star Wars thing. And this does all feel a lot like tractor beams and the Force. You know, it is. It truly is like about a lot to do with the Force. This seems to be part of the Force. And I'm wondering, what am I providing here to this there force? And I'm not getting where is my royalty check? My residual. Oh, then we get into the residual claimant, where the principal is actually bypassed for an unlimited lien wealth. Of course, the residual. I would just like to go out on it. I go on a date this decade. I know you want to, you got to handicap me to where you got to dilute my value like that, you don't want me to get no. Then you got GTA Rockstar Games, Grand Theft Auto, the whole series there. So theoretically, the helmets, you got to think about helmets and protection for thrill rides, genetic transfer agents. Genetic transfer agents would be similar to the shared like in that sharing of genetic material. You got the GTA Trans and the Bandits with their helmets on protection, and then you got Rockstar Grand Theft Auto, and who knows to what level. That's the problem, because we're not really sure what the level or depth of all of this is, and it's really just bizarre. I mean, truly, truly bizarre, and it's hiding behind any number. There's so many angles. You got one angle, you got freedom of religion. On another angle, they're trying to play as the government. You got playing the Linda Carter Wonder Woman, which goes back into Deborah Winger. That's a whole Bud and Sissy from Urban California. Mickey Gillies from Pasadena, Texas. And Gilly was Jimmy Swaggart and what was the other cousin? Jimmy Swaggart, Mickey Gilly, and Jerry Lee Lewis. They were cousins from Faraday, Louisiana. And so Gillies, or Bud, that's that J. John Travolta played the Todd Lubitsch from the Bubble Boy. That's another tie in there. It really does seem like it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. I can't figure out. I mean, it's interesting material. It's the Force. May the Force be with you. Well, the Force has definitely not been with me. I'm trying to get the Force working on my side by identifying and rechanneling the energy. But the root cause seems to be these genetic transfer agents that have hacked my genetic code, and they seem to be protected by cowboy helmets, even though they're not necessarily the Ranger material. Maybe that's why there's Chuck Norris, who's an actor ranger. There's all sorts of loopholes. Always a loophole in the legality, technicality in the loophole material. So I'm stuck here on a Friday night, the prime of my life, trying to escape and figure something out, some way to do something, maybe get somewhere. I'd like to be skiing. I'd like to be in Europe. Out, I mean, just for once, somewhere, so many places, but instead, I'm still here in this here garage, waiting to do something, not rightly sure what, but maybe one of these days, one of these darn tarnation media outlet or somebody, it just infuriates me that I can't get anything done. So we'll see how many hours of tape. I'll keep doing these tapes and posting them. I mean, I'll probably end up with 150, 200 hours. I don't know. I probably got 10 hours already on there that I can be spliced. But I can't figure anything out. I mean, they tried to hide my existence. At least this way, there's some documented notation of my existence for history, maybe, to look back upon it and laugh at the lunacy that was my life, because nothing really happened. The man who did nothing, basically, just sat around and watched it go by. Mississippi River, a missed opportunity. That's what it seems to be.